Welcome to the Pharma Forum podcast. This is web editor Nicole Raleigh, and I am on site in Berlin for ESMO 2025. And with me today are Lykke Hinsch Gylvin, who is Chief Medical Officer of Boehringer Ingelheim, and Itziar Canamasas, Boehringer's Head of Oncology. A pleasure to speak with you both.
Pleasure to be here.
Thanks for having us.
So our conversation comes at the end of a very long day, but it also comes at the close of the company's in-person media event around the corner from the Messe Berlin Center, where new data from across Boehringer's robust oncology pipeline is being presented, including in non-small cell lung cancer, small cell lung cancer, and extrapulmonary neuroendocrine carcinoma, or EPNEC. This includes late-breaking results from the Beamion LUNG-1 trial evaluating zongertinib in treatment-naive patients with advanced HER2 ERBB2 mutant non-small cell lung cancer in the proffered paper session. Now, Itziar, you and I discussed the Beamion LUNG-1 trial earlier this year at ASCO, but firstly I wanted to ask a broad question in this conversation tonight. What are the unmet needs in non-small cell lung cancer, and what does zongertinib potentially offer in that space, given this new data being presented at ESMO, perhaps in the first-line setting?
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for the question, and thank you again for having me and Lykke today in the podcast. We're very excited about the opportunity that we have with zongertinib to bring a new therapeutic option for patients in first-line mutant HER2 non-small cell lung cancer. Speaking about the unmet need, there is no HER2 specific precision oncology therapy that is approved for this setting. And the data that was shown today in the session demonstrated a 77% overall response rate with an 8% complete response, 96% clinical benefit rate. And interestingly, all patients had tumor shrinkage independent of the type of mutation for their disease. This was coupled with a safety profile that was very consistent to what we had seen before. And it makes us very confident that as the data matures, and hopeful that we're going to be able to bring this therapeutic approach to patients in the first-line setting. Lykke, anything else you would want to add to that?
We're super excited. The data that we presented today was very strong from an efficacy point of view, with a very manageable safety profile. And then let's not forget this is a potential oral therapeutic option in the future for the first-line setting. And it is an area with a very high unmet need. We know that there's about 50% or so who do not respond to the current standard of care. And we also know there's a need for more tolerable therapies, so targeting a high unmet need.
Mm-hmm. And speaking about unmet needs, we just announced on clinicaltrials.gov that we're going to be initiating Beamion LUNG-3 in the adjuvant setting for mutant HER2 patients. So an opportunity still to impact different HER2 mutant patients in the context of non-small cell lung cancer.
Thank you. So I want to ask you now about the latest data on novel T-cell engager obrixtamig in combination with standard of care chemoimmunotherapy for patients with extensive stage small cell lung carcinoma, as presented in a mini oral session.
Mm-hmm. Yes, obrixtamig is our T-cell engager targeting DLL3. And as you know, these kind of agents are immune system activators. And in this data presented in the mini oral session, obrixtamig in combination with standard of care was able to achieve a 68% overall response rate and a durable impact in progression-free survival with a 9-month rate of 52%. This was coupled with a manageable safety profile representing both combination partners in that disease setting.
This is obviously also very exciting. Speaking of unmet needs, here we're talking about small cell lung cancer that are known to be highly aggressive and not a very good selection of therapy options. So we are very excited about advancing our T-cell engager in this field as well.
And so you should be. I mean, these updates certainly reinforce Boehringer's oncology foothold and commitment to making an unprecedented impact on the lives of those affected by cancer through innovative research. Beyond the lung cancer space, Boehringer is also presenting updated data from immuno-oncology therapies, including the phase 1A STING trial for patients with advanced solid tumors. Can you tell us more about that? There was indeed, as we speak, a data release today.
Indeed, and we were able to share data on our phase 1 dose escalation trial. And in this dose escalation, we were able to see a good safety profile coupled with 2 partial responses and 1 complete response in patients that have been pretreated with immunotherapy. So really an interesting signal that we look forward to pursue as the clinical program advances.
Thank you, Itziar. For listeners, we have had a little bit of a preamble today at the media event, so I did just want to perhaps press my guests on this podcast for the patient point, because we had a very interesting discussion earlier on the importance of what this actually means for patients as people. So I was wondering if you could perhaps, Itziar, first of all, share the example you gave of one lady who benefited from this trial.
Yes, from the Beamion LUNG-1 trial. And it was the case of a patient that had been pretreated with chemotherapy, and prior to that was basically bound to the chair, not very mobile, fatigued, and she was reporting about how soon after starting treatment with Hernexeos, with zongertinib, she was able to regain her life and her symptoms improved. And that really speaks to what we want to achieve, to this commitment of bringing this unprecedented impact you were mentioning before. And most importantly, to bringing cancer back to the back of that patient's lives, to really have patients, as she expressed it, allowing them to live with cancer and not die from cancer. And if we achieve that with our breakthrough therapies, that truly gives us the inspiration to come to work each and every day and to do our very best, right, Lykke?
Yeah, to build on this, how we approach it at Boehringer is going beyond treating just the disease, but actually treating the patient, to your point, right? It's about living longer, of course, but it's also about living better, whether it's the safety profile, the tolerability, but also the convenience of having an oral option, which we heard from a patient not so long ago, also on zongertinib, talking about now having the freedom to travel again. And I think it made me cry.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Yeah.
But one other aspect you were mentioning earlier, Lykke, was about how we are involving patients across our clinical development. Maybe you want to comment?
Yes, I absolutely do. This is something we're very passionate about, all the way from the start at research to the medicines get in the hands of patients. we work very closely with patients on the research side, on the design of our trials, both the feasibility, but also understanding which endpoints are relevant to patients, making sure that we also have patient-reported outcomes included. So absolutely 90% of our trials or so are co-created with patients, and so we are of course very proud of that, which also brings more meaningful treatments to patients, but also at the end faster.
Just brilliant. Sorry, I'm sitting here for listeners who obviously can't see me, nodding my head and smiling. I want to turn to the ESMO Congress as a whole now. And I just wondered, what are you keen to hear more about? I know we're speaking early on at the Congress, but what do you think will be in 2025, the 50th anniversary of it? What will be the key takeaways?
Yeah, there are so many breakthroughs at this Congress. And we were speaking about, how maybe the patient's perspective is coming more to the forefront, even in today's session at the lung cancer session. In addition, I would say precision oncology and the impact of precision oncology, the fact that we're truly seeing these advances in 5-year survival rates for these targeted therapies. These I think it's truly transformational as a whole. And then obviously, we're very excited about our 10 abstracts across 4 products in our portfolio, and that we're hoping to always furthermore bring more of our innovative therapies to the forefront in these kinds of congresses.
What I would like to add is, of course, we are very excited to understand better and also very aligned with our own focus when it comes to the actual targets, both in terms of the advances of immuno-oncology targets, but also certainly cancer cell-directed targets and the smart combination thereof, which is a very high focus of ours at Boehringer. Beyond that, again, meaningful advances for patients. And by meaningful, we mean something that can translate to making a difference on patient lives, right? So that we look into not only the treatments, but also the care for patients, and also the whole diagnostic element, making sure that patients are diagnosed earlier. For example, we know in Europe, in terms of HER2, there's much more we can do to diagnose early and then get patients on treatment earlier. So it's a very holistic view to the future and to ES conference.
Thank you very much for your time today, ladies. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And that concludes another episode of the Pharma Forum podcast. You can find more information about this episode, including a download link and information about previous installments at pharmaforum.com/podcasts. The Pharma Forum podcast is also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Podbean, and pretty much wherever else you download your other podcasts from. Just search for Pharma Forum and follow and hit subscribe. Of course, don't forget to visit our website itself, where you can sign up for daily and weekly news and analysis bulletins. And do follow us on Blue Sky and LinkedIn at Pharma Forum. That's all for now. Thank you for listening.